Welcome back. You're watching our continuing coverage here at Davos 2023. I'm Shereen Bhan, and joining me now is Sajjan Jindal. Mr. Jindal, it's an absolute pleasure to have you join us after a very long time here on CNBC-TV18. It's good to see you here. Let me start by asking you about what the outlook is, both in terms of demand as well as prices for steel, particularly in the context of China reopening at this point in time.
You know, funnily, steel is a very cyclical industry. It goes up and down with the global events. And, you know, pandemic brought down steel commodity prices dramatically. And then post-pandemic, there was a kind of growth spurt of demand for all commodities, and prices went up. And then the inflation caught up, and then the interest rates went up. So the commodity again came down. And finally, now things are looking more stable, and the demand for steel on the back of rising raw material prices of steel is again coming back up. So it's that there's never a dull moment for steel industry.
Never a dull moment. Would you think that we've bottomed out in terms of pricing at this point?
I think so. Yeah, clearly, globally. Last time around, the raw material prices had not moved up, the coal, coking coal, and iron ore. But now the price on steel prices globally is on account of the rise in the raw material prices, and also China coming back out of the COVID restriction is also helping the prices to go up.
So in terms of capacity addition, you know, what can we expect given what kind of demand visibility you see? I think you had a target of what, 38.5 million tons per annum by 25. Does that hold? Are you on course for that?
Yeah, so sometime next year, by the end of this year or early next year, we will be completing our 38 million ton expansion project. And now we are already working on to take our next phase of growth to 50 million tons by 26-27.
What kind of investments will that entail, and will this largely be organic or inorganic as well?
No, mostly organic, because most of the inorganic opportunities in India is now kind of over. So now it's all organic.
Why didn't you go after the inorganic opportunities in India? I mean, many of your peers have actually picked up a few, especially through the NCLT route.
No, we did. We did. JSW Steel took over Bhushan Power and Steel, which was at that time 2.5 million tons. We took over Monnet Steel. We took over a couple more assets. So we've been pretty aggressive. Is that going
to be on the cards if anything else comes up? Either through the NCLT or otherwise?
Yeah, but if you see the whole landscape of Indian steel industry, there aren't many left to be acquired. They are either too small, which doesn't fit our requirements, or they are not quality assets which we can acquire.
What about cement, both in terms of demand as well as expansion?
So cement is also growing quite well.
How competitive is the landscape now?
Cement, no, it remains competitive. It's a industry which is growing. So primarily, both steel and cement is growing at the back of the infrastructure growth that's happening in India, and the government of India is really pushing the infrastructure growth, and that's helping the industry a lot. So I think cement is also, it's growing quite well.
You know, the last that we spoke here in Davos, you talked about the possibility of getting into the EV business, a plan that you have then since then given up on. Are you reconsidering that?
Well, you know, I believe that EV is the wave of the future for mobility, and you know, I gave up at that time thinking that all the auto majors would go in a big way in the EV, but you know, I realized that after 4 years of giving up the EV segment or giving up the idea of going into the EV, not much has happened in India. So therefore, I'm kind of contemplating to re-enter that phase.
How serious is the contemplation? Is it an active consideration?
It is active, and
are you looking for partners?
Not partners. I think we will be doing something very interesting.
Two-wheelers or cars?
No, it'll be a car, very high quality car. Because India, we don't have a high quality EV right now, and the global majors are coming out with very quality EV cars, and therefore I believe that that's a segment, that's an area where JSW Group can play an interesting role.
Okay, so back on the table as an active consideration.
As of now, yes.
By when do you hope to finalize, yes or no?
No, yes and no. I think next 3 months.
Oh, okay, as early as that.
Yeah.
What is holding you back?
No, not really. We are just studying the landscape, studying the technology, and looking at where we would like to build it, which part of India. So yeah, so these are the things that is under discussion at the moment.
Okay, so if it goes through and you sign off on it, what is it going to mean in terms of ballpark investments? You said that you don't need necessarily a partner, but would it make sense to have a partner on board? Is that something that you may want to reconsider?
Not really. We have thought about it, and now the technology is readily available, so there is really no need to bring in any partner. And what I want to do is to bring in a product where we Indians can feel proud of, and we would like to export that product out of India to European market and to the most developed market, auto market in the world. That's the whole idea. So I mean, one could say that, well, for India it's difficult to do a car project and to export cars to Europe, but that's my idea, because even people fell for steel in a similar way, whether Indian steel industry can export, but we are exporting to the best markets in the world and highest quality of steel. So same thing we would to do in auto.
So this would be a high-end product, not in the mass market?
No, it would be a high-end product.
Okay.
High-end with a price point where even the, let's say, upper middle class can afford to buy.
Okay, and where will the funding for this project come from?
So we are still to work out the details, but funding won't be an issue.
Okay, is this the only new opportunity that you're considering at this point in time, or are there others that are on the table?
No, so you know, we have a big action in steel, in renewable energy, in cement, in paint. So every business of ours, we are riding the growth wave of India, because I'm very bullish on India, that India would be a $10 trillion economy in next 10 to 12 years. And we being one of the primary industrial house in the country, we must expand our sectors. And each sector of ours is connected with the infrastructure of the country. So therefore, we must grow.
So for each of these businesses, what kind of capital plan to have in place, considering the fact that you're looking at growth and expansion?
So on a ballpark, we invest about 40 to 50,000 crore rupees a year in different parts of our businesses, and I hope that will continue and may increase in times to come.
What is the expectation from the budget, from the finance minister this time around?
Well, I think this government is really focused on pushing the infrastructure bit, and I'm very happy that this bit government is working on, and I think this budget will further give boost to the infrastructure spend, because that is one area, whether it's railways, whether it is road transport, whether it's ports or whatever. If we can fix our infrastructure and our logistics cost, if we can fix that, we can be the world beater. We can seriously become the factory of the world, and that's where we want to be. We ought to be.
You know, and that is the aspiration that we've had in terms of private capex. Not you. I mean, you are talking about investing at this point in time, but when you speak to your peers, when you look at what's happening around, do you believe that there is a lift-off that's expected now as far as private capex is concerned? So
I would say that the large groups are doing the capital expenditure, are in this capex mode. But you know, India is a story of lots and lots of entrepreneurs investing, and the small investments, but big numbers. And so therefore that accumulates to a very large number. That is missing as we speak, and somehow we have sort of lost out that millions of entrepreneurs in India because of various situations that emerged in the last 10-15 years. So I think that we need to bring that back, you know, where we have more and more entrepreneurs in our country.
So in the next 3 months, hopefully, we will get a decision on whether you head into the EV business or not into the EV business.
Most likely, yes, but still 3 months will tell us.
Sajjan Jindal, always a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us here on CNBC-TV18. We wish you the very best of luck and appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Well, we will take a quick break here, but the conversations continue at Davos 2023. We're back in a moment with a lot more. Don't go anywhere. We're back after this.